All right. Well, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. It is 12 o'clock on the dot, so we're going to get started here in just a second. We'll give folks a minute to finish signing in. Okay, it's 12:01, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. We're excited to share an hour with you guys. I think this is a great topic. We're starting to see a lot of business rebound and things are getting close to normal again in some ways. With the AeroSeal network has 700 plus dealers across the country and in Canada, and I'm just hearing from so many of them that things are really starting to kick back up and they're getting busy again. So, boy, that's really exciting. As we kind of get back to business, there's a definite focus on IAQ. There always has been, but I think there's even more importance now as we come out of the other side of the pandemic. But so for the next hour today, we're going to talk about the importance of focusing on IAQ in your business. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. There we go. All right, so quick look at the agenda. The importance of IAQ. We're going to talk specifically about the HVAC system's impact on IAQ. Talk a little bit about proper messaging and positioning, you know, the finesse, the right way to craft your message when you're talking about IAQ. And then we'll look at some of the most common IAQ products out there in the marketplace. We'll do a quick recap, and then we want to leave plenty of time for question and answers. Okay, so as I said, our AeroSeal network has 700 plus dealers across the country. And so I had no shortage of options to select from as we sought some guest speakers today. But it is no coincidence that we chose these two fellows to join us today. So we have Jeff Howard and Rob Bonomo. These two guys, I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you and tell you a little bit about their backgrounds. But these are two of the most passionate guys that I know, and they're all about IAQ, and they're just darn good guys. So I'm going to let Jeff start introductions off. Jeff, if you would, please.
Hello, everybody. Yep, I'm, as Tracy said, Jeff Howard. I am with Williams Comfort Air, and we are based out of Indianapolis and surrounding areas, as well as Louisville, Kentucky, and surrounding areas, and Cincinnati, Ohio, and surrounding areas. So I am one of our HVAC comfort engineers and technicians that runs out in the field. I have been in the field for 15 years, went to school for mechanical engineering. I've been studying indoor air quality and home performance for the last decade or so. And as Tracy said, very, very passionate. And it's the reason I'm very passionate is to help out people enrich their lives and their homes and let them experience what true comfort really is.
Very good. Thanks, Jeff. Rob?
Hey, my name is Robert Bonomo. I'm the HVAC manager at Beck Cohen Heating and Air Conditioning in Charlottesville, Virginia. Unfortunately, everybody has heard about our little town here. We do a whole bunch of things. We do plumbing, electric. Our main focus is HVAC and IAQ, and as well as AeroSeal. I started out a long time ago in this business. My father had me in the shop 3 days a week, starting from the age of 8 in the summertime to learn how to do this. And since then, I went to school for, I learned how to fabricate sheet metal. I can make anything out of a flat piece of metal. And then after a while, I went into the field and I got into duct work and whatnot. And I told my father at the age, I guess I was probably 17, I said, listen, you got to send me to school. So he sent me to school for line voltage, low voltage refrigeration. And since then I was a service tech and then it evolved into managing. So I enjoy the business that we're in. My son had asthma since he was born. He woke up every Thanksgiving a little blue, and not sad. I mean the color blue, because he would inhale plenty of oxygen, but he would never not exhale the carbon dioxide, and it was mainly from allergies, from leaves and mold. So that drives me in cleaner, healthier air.
Well, that makes sense. Gosh, I failed to introduce myself. I'm Tracy Martin. I'm the Director of Dealer Development here at AeroSeal. I've been with AeroSeal for about 5 years. My entire career, I've worked with different contractor trades. So I spent beginning of my career with commercial construction companies, and I've been working with HVAC contractors and AeroSeal dealers for the past 10, 12 years. So enough about me. Let's dive into this presentation. Okay, so why are we talking about IAQ, and why now? As I opened up our conversation today, I think now is the perfect time. IAQ has always been something that's very important, and I think it's a very big pain point, or a big motivator for a lot of homeowners. Everybody likes saving money. Everybody likes being comfortable. But when you begin to talk about the air quality and the health of your family, boy, that's important. And you'll find, and most of you already know this, but you'll find that homeowners are much more motivated to protect the environment that their families live in. So IAQ products and services are very popular. And then again, coming out of the pandemic, I think a lot of the country is just very mindful, much more cautious, and much more focused on keeping the area around them as clean and healthy and safe as it can be. Some quick statistics for you. Indoor air pollution ranks as a top 5 danger. Many of you have probably seen these statistics many times before, but we're going to review them real quick just in case you haven't. EPA has ranked indoor air pollution as one of the top 5 environmental dangers. Your indoor air can be 2 to 5 times worse or more polluted than the outdoor air. And in some environments, you're going to find that bumps up to even higher levels, at 100 times more polluted than the outdoor air. And then when you think about how much air you're breathing on a daily basis, people inhale approximately 15,000 or more, if you're a fast breather, I guess, quarts of air per day. So that's a lot of air that we're circulating throughout our bodies. And when we're breathing in things like dust mites, mold, pet dander, or we have things that are going to trigger health conditions like Rob was talking about with his son, certain things are going to trigger conditions like asthma, and that's not good. Research suggests that allergies, asthma, lung cancer, and even heart problems have all been linked in some way to poor air quality. And then you look at the majority of households, they have things in the household that can produce VOCs, furniture, and I think carpet being 2 of the biggest culprits or contributors.
Carpet's big. Carpet's really big.
Yep. And then, this last statistic, I've seen all kinds of numbers on this one. So you look at how much time we spend indoors, and then think about what the past couple months have been like. That 90%, I've seen figures up in the 97 or close to 100%. I mean, people are spending much more time indoors. But even before this whole mess started, the 90% benchmark was pretty much what we'd see most of the time. So you have folks spending 90% of their time inside. So that just further increases the importance of having healthy indoor air and focusing on indoor air products and services. If we look at HVAC specifically, your HVAC system is designed to help regulate the air in your home. The main purpose is to maintain good indoor air quality by providing adequate ventilation and filtration, and provide thermal comfort. But it's not just putting in a piece of HVAC equipment. And I know Jeff and Rob can speak to this for hours probably. But it is so important that you have properly sized systems, properly balanced systems, properly sealed ductwork, and then that you use the proper filtration mechanisms. And if you don't have all of that equation just right, then you're going to lead to symptoms in the home like issues regulating humidity, which could lead to mold growth. You might have uneven temperatures or just a stuffiness because you don't have good ventilation or proper circulation of air throughout the home. Ductwork that isn't sealed can lead to contaminants and polluted or not healthy air being drawn into the indoor living space. So all of these things together, all the puzzle pieces have to work together. It's not just a matter of having an HVAC system in the house. All these other things have to be in place as well. And I don't know, Rob, Jeff, if you want to add anything to that. I know this is just a huge point and we could talk for a great length on this one.
Well, where to begin? Well, first of all, we can start with volatile organic compounds, VOCs. They're a problem. So statistically, a baby crawling on a new carpet, a newborn baby that's just learned to crawl, crawling on a carpet, is breathing those VOCs, and it is the equivalent of that baby smoking 1 cigarette a day. That's ridiculous in my mind. That's horrible. Forget about secondhand smoke and being around the kid. Just that's him smoking a cigarette, 1 cigarette a day. So besides properly sizing and comfort for your home, you have to put in the right apparatus to filter VOCs, as well as very small pollutants in your air, and it's just good for your home. It's good for your health. It's good for your family. So I mean, you believe me, I could go on and on, but VOCs is a big deal.
Absolutely, I agree, Rob. And it goes back to you speaking of your son as well. I mean, I have a 1.5-year-old that's crawling around on the carpet.
Don't feel bad for him. He's a pain in the neck now. I mean, he's fine. Okay, but it's just that's how I started.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it did affect my oldest daughter when we moved into our new home, our brand new home,
Sure.
4.5 years ago. It was the same thing where she was having some issues with breathing, and VOCs, off gassing, as you had mentioned, it was definitely a big byproduct of that. So properly ventilating the home was key as well, on top of some other things that needed to be addressed. So
right. Also,
I'm right there with Rob on that.
Activated carbon backed filters are important. They reduce VOC off gassing from furniture, paint, carpet. That's one item you're definitely going to want to put into a system.
Okay, let's kind of jump into selling IAQ. So, you know, lots of sales approaches out there. I wanted to keep it pretty simple. So we like to say that there are 3 basic components to any sale. Number one, the customer, they must want or need your solution to their problem. That's an obvious one, right? And then as you describe the product or the service, the value, it has to exceed the price. And we all know this. If we don't really drive the value home, then it's going to be all about price and how can I get that price down? And you're going to run into price objections that you might not be able to overcome. So really laying on the value is critically important, of course. And then third, the customer has to be able to afford the purchase. And this is, you know, I look at this as kind of a relative phrase or a relative way to say that. I might have limited funds, but my priorities are the health of my family. So I might not be able to afford a Ferrari, but I'm going to prioritize my family's health, and I'm going to find a way to afford or be able to invest in making my home healthy if that's what's important to me, or if that's what my trusted expert advisor recommends to me, which kind of leads us into the next slide here. So What do customers expect? I mean, we know this, of course. They expect us, as the experts of the industry, to be professional and to lead with your expertise. They're calling on you because they want you to fix their problems. They can't, or in some cases, we know that maybe they've tried and they've messed it up, and boy, now they got to call for help, right? So they're leaning on you, the expert, the professional of the industry, to fix their problems, present options to them, offer solutions that they may not be aware are available. And then that third bullet point is a big one. You know, the homeowner wants you to explain things to them. They want to be educated. And if you look at all the statistics online about how much research the homeowner is doing before you arrive, you guys already know this. Some of your homeowners are able to talk some of the lingo with you to a point, but they still want you to either validate or further explain or guide them. So don't be afraid. I think we see sometimes we get a little afraid to over-explain things, but I know Jeff and Rob, they're not the type who are afraid to explain. They take the education of the homeowner very seriously. And then the final bullet point here is to present the options, but really it's up to the customer to make the choice. Let them choose. We all want to feel like we're in control. So the reason I have a picture of a doctor up on the screen, I look at our industry a lot like doctors. So we go to the doctor and we tell the doctor what's wrong with us, and we tell the doctor that we want it to go away. But ultimately, we're expecting the doctor to be the expert and to guide us and explain to us what's wrong and how they can fix it. I think we have the same kind of responsibility as the leaders, the professionals, and the experts of the industry. We need to use our expertise and explain things to our customers. And then again, I mean, some of this stuff is really basic and you guys have heard this many times, but it's worth repeating. You guys aren't selling products, you're not selling services, you're selling solutions. So if you're an HVAC company, your customers aren't buying HVAC equipment. I mean, really what they're buying is they're buying comfort. They want to be more comfortable in their home. And if you're a duct cleaning company, your customers are buying healthier air. I mean, they're not cleaning their ducts because they really want a shiny, pretty duct, right? They're cleaning it because they want their air to be healthier. So I think it's important to really look at the motivation behind why a customer is purchasing your solution. And then this is a really good statistic to think about as we talk about indoor air quality. If you look at consumer purchasing behavior on an annual basis, around $33 billion is spent annually on IAQ products. So we're talking about things like UV lights, whole house humidifiers, dehumidifiers, filters, purifiers, ERVs, HRVs, duct cleaning, etc. So you can see that product bundle there on the screen.
So the HVAC industry, we only get 1% of that, just so you know. The rest of that money is going to big box stores and people just buying stuff off the shelf, not knowing what they're buying. They're buying air purifiers that have that off gas ozone. And it's bad ozone. There's good ozone, there's bad ozone. So keep in mind, we as an industry, we're losing a tremendous amount of money by not going after the IAQ sales and products vigorously. I mean, $33 billion, we're getting 1% of that. That's, to me, is unacceptable.
Hey, Rob, wouldn't you agree that a reason that they're actually doing it is because we as an industry aren't doing our job in educating?
100%, 100%. It didn't take very much here at Beck Cohen for me to say, hey, IAQ is the way to go. This is the future. About 10 years ago, whatever. This is what we have to get into, and we have since done that, and we're educating. But other companies I've seen, talked to, they don't want to have anything to do with it. A lot of salespeople, they believe it's all snake oil, And if they don't believe it, they're not going to sell it. And I'm not talking about making the money. I'm talking about making, believe me, I'm a capitalist. I want to make the money. But at the same time, we have to educate. And if your salesperson does not, or your sales manager doesn't believe in it and thinks it's all snake oil, you're not going to make anything. And nobody's going to have better, cleaner, healthier air.
Absolutely agree, Rob.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Rob.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's what we're doing here. We're having a conversation. So thank you so much for bringing that point in. And then, Jeff, I'm actually going to call on you for a second, because I think maybe the other point here is there are a lot of missed opportunities. So not only, Rob, are we missing an opportunity to educate and provide options to our customers rather than letting them go to the big box stores on their own, but on top of that, Jeff, if we think about the job that you just completed last week here in the area, that particular homeowner had purchased other services that you would not normally think of being related to IAQ. So for example, I think if I remember correctly, she had just put on a new roof and she had done some insulation in her home. So not traditionally IAQ type of services, but they led to IAQ issues. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, but I think it's relevant here.
Yeah, absolutely is. You know, she had some issues with some rotting of roof decking from improper or lacking ventilation to her attic space. And when it came time to get a new roof, they put on a ridge vent. They took off the roof caps, and all she had was just 2 gable ends for their ventilation at that point. Obviously still wasn't enough for their attic space. So she had some soffits drilled in, and when she did that, they went overboard and they overpressurized the attic. And with the house being in a negative state, high pressure or positive pressure is going to find negative pressure. So that pressure went from the attic to the house, especially when the blower was running, because we're using wall cavity returns, and she was circulating and cycling that attic insulation and other fibers and dirt and dust and everything else from the attic space outside back into her home, and it really affected her. So, you know, there's different things that do affect the house, which will in turn affect the indoor air quality. So we have to be, again, we have to be knowledgeable of the situation.
Yep. Yeah. Another huge point here is we talked earlier about the puzzle pieces have to fit together when you're looking at HVAC equipment, right? I think it's worth talking about this data set that we have here on the screen. So when you're putting in new equipment, the other puzzle piece that is absolutely critical to look at is the ductwork. And so if you're putting in brand new high efficiency equipment and you're attaching it to leaky ductworok, you're not going to get the efficiency that you're looking for. And furthermore, it can lead to IAQ issues in the home. But if we look at this graph here, and I'm not going to spend tons of time on it, but I do think it's really important right now, especially as we move into warmer temperatures. 2020 is predicted to be a record year for replacements. So the 2005 equipment numbers were very high, and we're close to that 15-year age mark where it's time to start replacing. So a lot of the industry experts are expecting record numbers this summer. So as your homeowners are considering new HVAC equipment for their home, again, of course, you have to have proper airflow, proper sizing of the equipment, proper ventilation. But the other side of it being the ductwork, if you have just 30% leakage, and most ducts we know leak somewhere between 25 and 40%, so 30 is pretty middle of the road, just 30% leakage, the impact on the SEER, if you look at this graph here, let's say we take a 16 SEER system. If you track across there and look at the 30% column, you can see that it robs the system, the home, of about half of the efficiency. Now, we get a lot of comments and questions about this data. This data, by the way, was put together by the Department of Energy. And the questions that we get are, that doesn't make sense. The equipment is designed to operate at a certain efficiency. How can you say it operates differently? That's not what this data says. What this data says is that the homeowner's experience or the delivered efficiency is compromised. And if we think about what the homeowner is really paying for, they're really paying for comfort. And if they're buying high efficiency equipment, they're paying for efficiency, i.e. energy savings, and they're never gonna get it if they've got duct leakage, right? Jeff, Rob, you guys wanna add anything to this? I think this is just a really important point.
Well, Brian, my sales manager, may not like this, but a lot of times somebody's looking at a 24, or let's see, we do 20 and 25 SEER systems. They'll look at the 25 and, we'll tell them, listen, we give them line items to choose from in IAQ, one of them being AeroSeal, one of them being different filters and whatnot. And I always say, listen, you can always add anything you want, but if it was my house, I would put the AeroSeal in, and I'm a big believer in that. And they say, well, I don't think I need that. I said, well, you're buying a 25 SEER system, and you have, on average, a 30% duct leakage, just like you said. So you're getting really, 12.5 SEER out of that. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, but spend less money, buy a 16 SEER system and put the AeroSeal in, and at least get a 15 or 16 SEER system. It just makes sense. But like I said, my sales manager, that cuts into profits. But it's true. If you're gonna buy the SEER that you want, you better make sure your ducts are sealed properly, because you're not going to get that. That's all. That's factory designs, just like it says on the chart. That's under factory conditions, perfect conditions. That's what that SEER rating is for. But your delivery system has to be as perfect. If not, you're not going to get the factory desired SEER efficiencies, SEER ratings, I should say.
It's a great way of saying it, Rob. And it's very rare that we see a perfect delivery system, right?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Whoops, sorry. There we go. Okay. A couple more slides here, and then we're going to kind of shift gears. So if we look at code enforcement across the country, up until about 2009, there really weren't any codes or code enforcement for duct sealing. And then if you look at new construction statistics, research from a 2016 study, it estimates that about 96% of owner-occupied homes were built prior to 2009. So that means the majority of houses out there were built before there were codes that required certain standards for duct sealing. So if you want to equate that to the number of homes, we're talking about 115 million homes that are potentially impacted by less than perfect delivery systems, i.e. ductwork.
Yep.
That's huge, right?
Yeah. And they're not even insulated if they're in a crawl space or a basement at that age, in the 50s to 60s to 70s. They didn't even insulate them, much less seal them. So you're losing a lot of air, losing a lot of efficiency.
Yeah.
Let alone what's happened with the fan energy ratings, the first standards that changed July 3rd of last year with the equipment. It's just making it even more pronounced and known. So it's definitely very important to consider.
And states like New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts and California, I think California is less than 5% duct leakage at this point, but New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, I think they're right at 5%. And I've tried. You're not hand sealing a duct system and getting 5%. I've tried it. It's not happening.
Not without tearing open walls and hoping and doing it again and again.
Even on a new system, you're not going to get 5%. On a stick-built house that has no drywall and you put the ductwork in yourself, if you hand seal it with mastic and tape, you're not getting under 5%.
Agree.
Yep, and that's a great point, because we hear that question a lot too. Well, my ductwork is new, so it should be good, right? Not necessarily. I mean, if it was hand sealed, it probably isn't going to be as tight as some of the codes require it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So that leads us right into AeroSeal. So AeroSeal is the perfect solution to making your ductwork more healthy, make it perform the way it's supposed to, and help it take that HVAC equipment, meet its efficiency rating. So if you look at the screen here, AeroSeal brings flexibility and efficiency by turning an unpredictable manual task into a consistent and dependable process. And we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about what that means. But when people ask me what's AeroSeal, I like to say these three things. It truly is the safest and single most effective method of sealing ductwork available today in the universe. You like that?
I do.
You heard Rob and Jeff both mention you can hand seal, you can do mastic, you can do tape. There's other ways of sealing ductwork, but there really is nothing that's safer or more effective than AeroSeal. And then it's a patented, proven technology. We've been around for 20 plus years. We were created by the Department of Energy in '97. So this isn't a, gosh, we hope it works. We know it works. It's been working for a very long time. And boy, we love the technology. Talk a little bit more about what it is. AeroSeal really helps you as a home service or comfort provider. It helps you deliver or improve upon customer satisfaction. If we're looking at IAQ, AeroSeal is a root cause solution. So what I mean by that is you've got, take a UV light. A UV light is treating the symptom. So it's treating the symptom after it's there, right? And it's trying to keep up with the amount of air quality issues that might be in the air. And they work, and they're great. But what AeroSeal does is it attacks it on the other end. So it pinpoints what's causing the problem, the leakage, which is pulling in the contaminated air. It pinpoints that issue, and it solves the problem by sealing up those leaks. So we call it a root cause solution. And I know Rob and Jeff are going to talk a little bit more about this in a second. We like the way AeroSeal and other IAQ products work together. We're not necessarily trying to say you don't need other IAQ products. We're saying they work together, but they work in very different ways. Another point about AeroSeal is it is a permanent solution. Once it's done, you don't need to do it again. The duct sealing technology has been stress tested to last beyond 40 years. And then something else that's really kind of cool about AeroSeal, we can't think of another product in the industry that solves, in a root cause kind of way, that solves as many issues in one single solution as AeroSeal. So AeroSeal can improve comfort. It can help balance humidity in the home. It can improve air quality. It can help improve energy efficiency. And then a big one, it can improve the longevity of the HVAC equipment. Duct leakage can put a burden on the HVAC equipment and actually shorten the lifespan of that equipment. So that's very important to homeowners. What else about AeroSeal? When it entered the market, it really redefined the way duct sealing was done. So it seals the ductwork from the inside. So you heard Jeff say you're not going to get below 5% without tearing down some walls. Well, AeroSeal doesn't have that limitation. Because we're sealing from the inside, our technology can get behind walls, behind floors, into spaces where your hands can't reach. So if you're trying to hand seal, you can only seal what you can reach. AeroSeal just doesn't have that limitation. So that's a huge advantage for the folks who have AeroSeal. And then we're able to seal holes that are up to about 5/8 of an inch. If you encounter holes that are bigger than that, we're going to recommend that you hand seal first if possible. And then if we look at the final 2 points on this slide, surpasses codes on the first attempt and prints out certificate of completion. So with AeroSeal, there is no guessing. I think you heard Jeff or Rob, one of them said, you're not really sure if you're going to pass code. When you hand seal, you don't quite know how tight you've made that duct, right? You're kind of, it's your best guess. You know you've done good work, but you're not quite sure without doing a test. AeroSeal has a manometer built into it. So in a way, it's kind of like a modified duct blaster. So before you begin the sealing process, you're going to calculate the CFM, the amount of leakage in terms of CFM that duct system has. And then throughout the sealing process, you're going to get minute by minute data that shows that CFM number getting lower and lower and lower. And when you're done with the process, you're going to take one more reading. So you've got that before number, you've got an after number, and then when you're finished with the job, you can print out a certificate that shows your customer where they started, where they finished, and then they're going to know precisely how much leakage improvement you made. And in terms of code, you'll know if you're at that if you're at that 5% or whatever your code is for your market. And then you don't have to worry, am I going to pass? Am I not going to pass? So that's one of the big advantages of AeroSeal as well. Real quick, how it works. We generally see 2-man crews, and I will let Jeff and Rob talk in more detail about this, but generally we see 2-man crews. The day of the job, they're going to go to the home. They're going to locate every supply and return register in the home. We're going to block every one of those openings with a dense piece of foam, so a foam block. Then we're going to tape that block in place as well. In addition to that, we're going to block off the coil and the fan. So we make, there's different ways to block off the coil. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Different ways to block off the coil. You'll see some guys use foam, some guys use sheet metal, different approaches. But ultimately, you gotta isolate it and block it off so we don't seal the coil. And then we're going to attach a long piece of plastic tubing that we call lay flat. We're going to attach that to the air handler in an access point. We call it an injection point. We're going to clamp it on. The other end of it's clamped on to the AeroSeal fan box. And then we're going to pressurize the system. So we're going to put high pressure air into the ductwork. And I think you heard Jeff say this earlier, you know, air always moves from high pressure to low pressure. So our system can detect those pressure drops. So wherever you have air moving from high pressure to low pressure, so where you have leaks, the air is trying to escape, and our instrumentation can measure those pressure drops and tell you, if you added up all the holes, here's how leaky, or here's how big of a hole your total leakage, what it equates to. And then as we seal, the sealant is a dry, microfine airborne mist, but it is dry, and it only seals where those pressure drops are. So when we talk about this in our training classes, we kind of describe it like this. If everybody were to stand up and run around the room, you're not going to run into each other probably. But if everybody were to try to run out the door, a small door, everybody's going to run into each other, right? That's how the technology works. So the sealant is free to roam, but as soon as there's that pressure drop, you have air escaping out the hole, and the sealant particles collide and they form a seal where that leak or gap or hole or crack is. Throughout the entire process, you can monitor, as I said, minute by minute. There's a computer that shows you what's going on with the job, so you can monitor what's going on. And then again, of course, at the end of the job, you can print that certificate that shows the unique results for each and every customer. So Jeff and Rob, why don't you talk about some real world scenarios?
Real world scenarios. Well, we're an HVAC company, so our process is, well, most of our seals happen with changeouts. So we schedule it for 2 days, the first day for AeroSeal, the second day for the changeout. What I do is I send the AeroSeal crew there. They pull out the outdoor unit. They pull out the coil and the blower of the indoor unit, but they leave the cabinet of the air handler there and put the doors back on once they've taken the guts out. Then they cut into the cabinet for the lay flat, and that's how we seal our. We use the old cabinet. Once we seal it, which the prep time, hour and a half to get all the blocks off, set up your the filter, the scrubber, I should say, and do a pre-seal test and stuff like that, see where they're at. Now, if we have a policy at our company, if they're only at 7% leakage, we call it good. We say good for you. We charge them, I think it's $1,000 or $900 for the test, because that's what you would run a test at, a blower door test, not a blower door test, a duct blast test. And when we say, good luck, and we don't collect the balance on that, but that has only happened once in the last 50 seals. For the most part. So then they do the seal, and that usually takes about an hour to seal, hour and a half, depending, sometimes less. And then the guys actually pull up, they clean everything off, they clean everything up, and they actually install the outdoor unit while they're there. That's day one. So when the crew to do the changeout goes to day two, they're out of there by noon, 1 o'clock. My crew that does the sealing, which I'm hopefully going to have a second crew by the end of this year, they're getting it down to where I could do 2 seals a day. Just them. They go to one job, they do a seal. They go to another job, they can do another seal. They're very good at it. They're proficient, and they're doing well. I'm very, very happy with what they're doing.
Awesome. And then Jeff, you guys have been with us for many years, and you also do duct cleaning along with your HVAC services. Anything you want to add to real world scenarios?
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on what kind of duct system you have that will determine the length of the seal. But first starting out and stuff, it does take some time of getting used to and building that mechanism of how long it's going to take to do. So it's not just jump in and you're going to get it done real quick. You're going to learn over time how to be efficient, proficient with what you're doing, and able to get to what Rob was saying, 2 seals a day. But yes, we do focus on 1 seal a day, and a lot of the times we are cleaning the ducts before we seal. So it's beginning of the day, half of the day, sealing the duct system or cleaning the duct system, and then the rest of the day working on the seal and cleaning up and everything. So we can get both of those done in one day.
Yeah, don't let me. I don't want to mislead anybody. When we first started, it was a good 8-hour day. Especially because you're worried about fogging out the house. And you're double checking and triple checking everything's in place before you start that machine up. You're not used to it. You haven't built a routine. But believe me, after a while, and it's a short while, you see a routine developing, especially if you have the same two technicians doing it. That they won't even have to talk to each other after a while. But after the routine comes and you feel comfortable, then the speed will come.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great point, Rob. It's like anything else. You got a little bit of a learning curve. It'll take you a minute before you get there, but as you talked about, and Jeff, same for you as well, if you've got a system developed and you enforce your system, there are all kinds of efficiency opportunities. So specifically, if we look at duct cleaning, a lot of the prep work that you do for duct cleaning is very same, in some cases identical to what you do for duct sealing, for AeroSeal. Right. So there's a big labor savings or time savings in the case where you're able to do that in a single day. Jeff, I don't know if you have any real numbers on time savings I don't know, have you guys tracked that at all?
Time savings from cleaning it in combination with sealing it? Yeah. I mean, it's the same time to clean the ducts either way, but how we're blocking the registers, the boots, and everything, it's very, very similar. So it makes sense to flow right from cleaning to sealing. if you do provide that service. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, 8 to 10 hours. It depends on how big the system is, how many registers are in the home. I mean, it can vary. So
Yeah, believe me, you got
you
a
just have
5-ton
to.
system, with 22 grills plus returns. It's going to take a little while.
Yeah. Just to give you guys kind of a visual of what the process looks like, we have the short animation here, so I'll just kind of play this. There's no sound, so don't worry if you don't hear anything. Well, maybe I'll play it. I will not be playing it. It is not playing, and I apologize. We just you can imagine.
There's your glitch, Billy.
It's okay, no biggie. So I'll just kind of walk you through what you would have seen. So you can see there's a computer here, and it is monitoring what's happening throughout the process as we described. This here is what we call the fan box. So it has all of the components inside that are going to regulate the temperature. This is also attached to a compressor, so that's how you're regulating pressure. This has the pump inside, so this is where you're pulling the sealant from the gallon of sealant, right? And then there's an injection system that atomizes the sealant and takes it from a solvent to a dry airborne mist. And then it travels through this lay flat tubing into the duct work, and then every register is blocked off. So the only place the air can escape is where there are leaks, gaps, holes, and cracks. And then the particles collide and form a seal where there are leaks. So sorry I couldn't play that for you, but hopefully I did an okay job of explaining it.
Excellent.
Okay, just to give you guys a visual, we've talked about the certificates of completion. So what we have on screen are examples from both Jeff's company and Rob's company. And I'm going to let them tell you the backstory about these jobs. So Jeff, if you would like to start, please tell us a little bit about these jobs.
Yep, absolutely. So the seals that you see on ours there is from the same home, same location, and it was the one that we were speaking of earlier with the pressure issue you had from the house with that negative pressure. So we took care of fixing the ductwork first, because they were having some issues, and undersized ductwork was causing a lot of problems, and we verified that with checking pressures and stuff, our total external static pressure. Once we corrected that and got everything installed and ready to go, you can see from our numbers on our return side and our supply side. So the top left one there is the supply. Even with a brand new duct system that we had put in, that's still the leakage. I mean, it's there. Now, we didn't tape, we didn't mastic, we didn't do any of that on the actual ductwork itself. We did around the equipment, but you can see how well we were able to get that down. Same thing on the return, and that's with wall cavities. We were very, very impressed and satisfied with how well we got that down. I actually just spoke with the homeowner a little bit ago, and she said that she has never been so comfortable in her house, and especially in the back bedrooms, where now she's getting air where she wasn't before. So we're very, very happy with it.
And then, Rob, before we move to you, Jeff, the other huge benefit for her should be the indoor air quality. So if she had almost 1,000 CFM of leakage on the return side, can you explain to the audience what that could mean in terms of air quality issues?
Oh, absolutely, especially on the return with that wall cavity that we were pulling down from. The top plates and stuff to the attic, because it was a ranch with a walkout basement, and the returns running down that first floor. Now we're not going to be pulling in what we were pulling in from the duct system, at least. So we combine that with an energy recovery ventilator to help her out, so we can put the house into a neutral, slight positive pressure. So all of her 1950s and 60s can lights and other lighting sources she had in the home, we don't have as much pull from those areas as well. So helps out tremendously with the air quality. So again, it's a combination of everything with sealing, ductwork, ventilation. It all works together to create that true comfort and that indoor air quality within the home.
Yep, Awesome, thanks. Rob, tell us a little bit about your jobs.
Well, the one on the right, I chose that one because it had about 620 CFM worth of leakage, which is, in my opinion, very high. And we got it down, which was, I guess, you could see from the chart. The charts, I like these charts for more than one reason, but the biggest reason is that they simplify things so that when the homeowner looks at it, they don't say, oh, okay, CFM, blah, 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 blah. They see that 621 CFM of leakage is equivalent to a 117 square inch hole. Okay, they're giving them a visual that they can understand. And after that, they give them this equals to 372 refrigerators full of air loss every hour. So now they see refrigerators falling out of their house. You know what I mean? It gives a layman a visual. So which is what I liked.
Or they hear their mom yelling at them, right? Close
Yeah,
the
close the
refrigerator
fridge.
door.
My father used to yell at me, Robbie, you're letting the penguins out.
There you
Um,
go.
um, but so that's why I chose that one, because it was a good seal. It took probably about 190, 200 minutes to do it. But we got it down to an 11 square inch hole, which was really nice. Now, the other one I chose, the one on the left, is because Jeff is a numbers guy and he was helping the customer, and I think that's awesome. The one on the left is my house because all I really care about is me. Um, um, my house was built in 2003. I sealed it uh, this past June, not 2019. Uh, I have my den, which as soon as my kid moved out, went to college, I repainted and I made it my den, and I put my chair, my big TV, but it's the hottest room in the house. And I shouldn't live like that. So after we sealed it, I noticed that, holy crap, excuse my French, I'm chilly in my den, where I was always hot. And so we did my house first when we joined AeroSeal, and we felt, Matt and myself, Matt is the president of the company. We felt, let's do our houses first. First of all, practice this way we don't mess up anybody's house, and also we need to believe in it. So we did our houses. We did a couple of guys' houses to make them believe, sort of drink the proverbial Kool-Aid, so to speak. But so I was sitting in my den and I was chilly, at 71 degrees, 72 degrees. Now, normally I keep my house at 68, but the air never got to the right places. My wife calls me old cold. She says, you're getting old, you're just cold. I said, but that's not true. I am actually, so my house is even, and I personally can attest to that. And Matt says the same thing. And talk about humidity. My house used to always stay right around 57% humidity. Because I got like little devices everywhere. Um, and now I'm running about 49, 50% humidity since then, in the summer, so that's why I chose mine, because it's a true testament that this is no joke. It's not snake oil. It's the real deal. So that's why I chose mine.
Yeah. So we just covered a whole lot of information and we're close to the end of the hour. So I'm gonna summarize at really high rapid speed a few points. One, if you look at Williams Comfort Air certificates, you'll notice that Jeff did the supply and the return separately. Our technology will allow you to do them individually. You can do supply and then you can do return, or you can do them together. It really kind of depends on your preference, but it also depends on how much leakage you have. If you have almost 1,000 CFM of leakage and you try to combine that with supply, that's just too much overall leakage in the system. It's going to be tough to pressurize the system. So I wanted to point that out. You can do them separately or together. Another quick comment. You heard both Jeff and Rob talk about an instant or immediate observable difference in comfort. So comfort is what we hear most from our customers because it's the first thing you notice the very next time the system cycles. It is the most observable difference. Energy savings and air quality, those are going to be realized over time, but they are not any less powerful. So the impact of air quality and energy savings and humidity are just as potent as comfort. It's just that the comfort you notice immediately. And then finally, I know I'm hitting you quick with information, but I want to just touch on humidity. Jeff, you can speak to this in more detail if you think it's relevant, but in some markets, so in markets like ours, Ohio, Indiana, in this area, Midwest, when you have just 100 CFM of leakage, just 100, it can add an additional 10 gallons of water in a 24-hour cycle to the system. And that's bananas. That's a lot of water.
Yeah, it is.
That's more water than the system, the HVAC system was designed to handle. So that's why you have issues with controlling comfort, because it's really the humidity that makes a difference in how comfortable we are, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, 100% agree. And that's that more stress. That goes back to that chart that you were showing earlier from the Department of Energy. That's more stress on the system. That's that inefficiency of the system that's going to happen. And also, like I said, higher humidity, uncomfortable. Rob's room over there may have been a little bit more humid until he got that airflow over there. So now he's getting that exchange of air. I mean, it's perfect. That's what we achieve. That's what we want to achieve.
Yep. All right, quick summary, and then I'm moving to questions. So focusing on IAQ, whether it's AeroSeal or other IAQ products and services that you offer, it's going to help you grow your business, help you recover lost revenue. We talked about we're only getting 1% of the 33 billion out there. That's a missed opportunity. So focusing on IAQ can help that 1% go up to something bigger than 1. It's going to help you increase your average ticket sale for sure. This is something that can really help you even out the peaks and valleys of our that we see in the industry. We see summer and winter as our busy times, and then those mild temperatures, things can sometimes slow down. So focusing on IAQ can help you kind of even out your business. And then my favorite point is customer satisfaction. We're doing what we do to make our customers happy, right? And to make money, of course, to make money, but they're not going to call you back if they're not satisfied. So it leads to customer satisfaction always. So coupling IAQ with everything else that you do can reduce the number of callbacks that you get. It can improve your customer satisfaction in terms of business reviews. We know how powerful those are. And then also, it can absolutely help you differentiate your business. I'm just gonna shift gears. Let's jump right into questions because I've seen a few come in. So let me see what we have here. Okay. Okay, so guys, earlier we had, I think Rob, you made a comment about good ozone versus bad ozone. Can you guys both kind of explain what you mean by that?
I'm not a scientist, to be quite honest with you, but there is the ozone that protects the earth from the earth's from the sunlight and UV rays, and that is good ozone. There is also the secondary ozone, which is an off-gassing of products that is it's I believe it's known to have cancer-causing agents. It's no good for your lungs. It's an irritant. And it's not good for you. I don't really know what else I could tell you about it. But there's only one product that I know of that in IAQ that doesn't off-gas bad ozone, and that is a Healthy Climate filtration system. That's the one I particularly use for that reason. Any other air purifier that you buy from the big box store, it emits ozone, and like I said, there's two types of ozone: one that protects us from the sun's UV rays, and then the off-gassing ozone from a pure air purifier. That is it's an adjutant to the body, an irritant to the lungs and body.
Jeff, you want to add anything?
Yeah, and certain ozone generators you have to be very careful with, because if we actually have that ozone generation into the system, the ductwork and everything, it can strip down and break down the aerosol product. So And as Rob was saying, you have to be careful because it does cause irritants. It's usually a lot of the ionizing wires and certain air purifiers, and most air purifiers do have it, but or produce some ozone, but it's so minimal that it can still pass certain guidelines and stuff. So you have to be very, very aware and educated on the different products out there and what they're going to do. And you can't promise something that you don't know, especially if you don't measure ozone. But even the ionizing wires that are in these systems will charge particles, and it can actually lead to more dust. So you can't say that this is going to stop dust if you put something in that has ionizing wires that's going to produce ozone. So you just got to be very, very careful, especially to people that are asthmatic or asymptomatic to different
or some type of
allergens.
respiratory ailment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I've also heard that ozone emitting products have actually been outlawed in Canada. And I believe California and Washington are beginning to, I don't know if outlaw is the right word, but they're being a little bit more stringent about what you can and cannot install. Sure. Can you guys speak? I know you're not in those areas, but do you know any more about that?
No, I don't. I do know that California bans a lot of stuff. If you look at your hot water heater, it says this product is not allowed to be used in California. So I really don't know what they're doing for hot water out there. But yeah, their laws are much more stringent. That's when we were talking about duct sealing earlier. I think that their code is 3 or 4% duct leakage. And that's not only on a new system going in. If you put in if you do a change out or a replace system, you have to have it inspected and you have to have it checked. Yep. And all those systems out there are not anywhere near that. So they're just more stringent on their laws and codes, which I wish they dropped the percentage in Virginia a little bit for me.
Well, but I think the point is, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. I think it's a matter of when.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Indiana has seen a tightening up of the code requirements. I know Minnesota, they're at a 4 CFM per 100 square foot of living space. So it's happening. It's not if it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's
just taking time.
Yep. Okay, so thank you very much. Ryan Hoger is made 2 points about ozone. So number one, he says that Secure Air has no ozone byproduct.
Okay.
His second point is the FDA limit on ozone is 0.05 parts per million, and it's a function of the device, the volume of the space, and the ventilation, ACH, or air changes per hour. So thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. Very helpful. Yeah. Okay. Another question is, where can I find a copy of the chart with the SEER loss? You can actually find that in a lot of different places. Number one, I believe at the end of this presentation today, you guys are going to get a recording. So you'll get a copy of the presentation itself. Number two, it's on our website, aeroseal.com. Number three, we've created an informational website called ductfacts.info. So DUCTSINFO. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. Duct, DUCT, facts, FACTS, .info. There we go. It's also there. So many places you can find that. Okay. Next question is, I have always thought of AeroSeal as something that coats the entire duct. Can you speak more about it on sealing leaks and evacuating the sealant after the holes are sealed? Yes, we can, but I'll let Rob and Jeff answer that.
Yeah, with it, the only spot that actually gets coated is usually your injection point, depending on where your injection point is. It does not coat the entire duct system. As Tracy was mentioning, it goes through the duct system, and as that high pressure goes to low pressure and it exits out of the duct system through the cleats and joints and elbows and everything within the system, the duct system, that's where it seals. So that's where you'll actually see it but not on the entire duct system at all.
Right? It doesn't stick to the inside of the duct. It sticks to itself. So that's like when Tracy's analogy about a whole bunch of people running through the same doorway, they all get caught there. So the sealant actually goes to an opening, and there's so many little particles that they all get stuck to each other, and they actually just form a scab. And I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah. And John sent this question, and I'm not sure if I understand the second part of it, but I think maybe he could be referring to, we've made a couple comments about fogging the house, and gosh, I don't want to scare anybody, but can it happen? Sure, it can. However, we teach all of our dealers, and these two guys can attest to it, we teach you to take precautions.
Go slow.
Yep, and as long as you keep that airflow moving out of the house, you're safe, right? So we've got air scrubbers. We teach the guys to cover the valuables in the home. Sometimes guys open windows and set up additional fans. Some guys use blower doors to create positive pressure so the air is going out of the house. Jeff, Rob, you got any comments on that?
As Rob mentioned earlier, air scrubbers, you got to know, again, through the training process, doing your own employees' homes to, so you know what you're doing and learning, but you know where to put the scrubbers, you know where the majority of the leakage is going to be, you're going to understand and know where to control it, and then the air scrubbers are going to assist you, and also other fans that you can to duct it out.
And that's also why you have at least a two-man crew, and I don't think you need more than two. But one guy's monitoring the computer, and he's looking at the curve go down. And now, if that curve automatically spikes up, that means you've blown either a block somewhere has come out, and you're actually putting it into the home. But the second guy, while this is happening, is actually walking around the house, checking out all the blocks that you put in, and making sure everything's tight and secure. If you're diligent, and you know what, even if it does happen, as long as your air scrubber is moving and you have some windows open, it never settles and becomes sticky. It as long as the air is moving, it will go out of the house. So fogging can occur. Well, fogging does occur, depending especially on how leaky the ductwork is. So some fogging is going to come out through the breaches in the ductwork, through the cleats, drive, slip areas, collars that were tabbed in instead of using an airtight collar. So you are going to have a little bit of fogging, and that's to be expected. We bought, I know we invested some money, a very little bit of money, in about 30 sheets, 30 white sheets, and we have them in a tote on the AeroSeal trailer, and the guys go in and they cover up all the electronics, they cover up tables, they cover up everything. We make sure small pets are out. We get all the pets out, but you got to remember, like, if you got a parakeet in there, he's got these two little holes to breathe in. If he breathes in some AeroSeal, he's sealed now. He can't breathe anymore. So you just pay. The AeroSeal instructions and instructors that teach you the operation are very thorough. Everything is in the book that they give you, and we don't call often, but we did at first. We called the AeroSeal tech support, and they're always there to help very quickly.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
we're at 1:08. There's one more question that I'd like to answer quickly, and then I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up because I don't want to keep you guys too long. So the final question is from Steven. Steven wants to know, and Jeff, you're going to smile. He wants to know, what kind of AeroSeal unit do Jeff and Rob use? Portable, or do they use the trailer? And which one is better? So Jeff, I'm going to ask you to tell your quick story about that one.
Yeah, so our first AeroSeal unit that we got, we were a little arrogant, I think, and hey, we're just going to get the unit. We're not going to get the trailer. We're going to make our own truck. So we tried, and then we failed, and then we tried. And then the second machine we got, we just said, you got to get the trailer. You've got to get the trailer. It's all set up. It's all right there. It makes it so much more efficient. But again, you can do either way. It's just through our trial and error that the second go around with our second machine, we said trailer.
The trailer has everything you need in it. It is set up. It's got a table. It's got chairs. It's got a cooler. Uh, it's got everything you could possibly want in it. And because we also said to ourselves, you know, how much, what are we going to invest capital wise? And it was like, well, and we just looked at it and it was like, you know what? Let's just jump in with both feet, get the trailer. This way we can detach it. Everything's always in there. I have very stringent rules on how my trailer is kept. Every time they use it, you're swabbing the deck of that trailer. You're washing the trailer. I mean, we had it, wrapped and everything like that. So but everything's in there. If I know money is always a concern. But if you can absolutely swing the trailer, just get the trailer. It'll make your life way easier. Right, Jeff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. I apologize that we went a little bit long.
That's all right.
If you look on the screen, if you guys who are listening, if you have any questions, you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to Jared Scott. He is our National Sales Director. His email and phone number are on the screen. You can also send emails to info@aeroseal.com. I appreciate you spending a little over an hour with us. Jeff, Rob, if you guys have any final words for the audience, and then we'll close it up.
No, just it's AeroSeal for me. It has been it's a great product for me for my house, and it's been a lucrative product for our company. It's but it's hard to ask me because I jumped in with both feet, and I got to tell you, I drank the Kool-Aid and I drank a gallon of it. So I think it's a great product.
Yeah, the growth and opportunity is, as talked about, is definitely there. Definitely something that should be considered by people that want to take it serious. And one of my favorite sayings is, along with the AeroSeal and everything else we do, prognosis without diagnosis is malpractice. So do your diligence.
Very nice.
Do your job, and then we're there to serve people. So just make sure you're taking care of people.
Awesome. I can't add anything to that, so I'll just say thank you. And you guys have a great day. Take care, everybody.
You too, Trace. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.